Hey viewers, I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. In this episode, we are going to talk about the compatibility between the ENTJ and the ISFP. Traditionally, we usually devote the first segment of each of our compatibility videos to describing the particular type and where you can actually find them. But we're going to make a change this time. We will discuss the ISFP and where you can actually find them in another episode. So today we're going to talk straight about the ISFP ENTJ combination and compatibility. Now this is a very special combination because this is a duality pair.
Which me did you meet? My duality.
So what is a duality pair in MBTI? First of all, when you have a duality pair, the alphabets are totally different. So in this case, we have an ENTJ versus an ISFP, totally different alphabets for each of the alphabets. So in other words, you can also say that the alphabets are reversed. Another characteristic of the duality pair is that the cognitive stack is totally reversed. As you can see, here is the cognitive stack of the ENTJ, and this is the cognitive stack of the ISFP. They are totally in reverse order. So when you encounter this kind of situation, we say that there is a duality. So just to test you, if you are an ENTP, then your duality opposite will be ISFJ. So in a romantic relationship, when you meet your duality counterpart, it can be really challenging. Why? Because their dominant function is your inferior function. Their auxiliary function is your tertiary function. So what they are good in, you are weak in. What they are weak in, you are good in. Did I just say that? So in the case of the ENTJ and the ISFP, this can be very obvious. So personally, I find ISFPs very passionate people who stand up for their own value. They are really able to voice out their opinions and their concerns. Because the ENTJ uses TE, the ENTJ usually thinks before they decide if they can voice out or they should voice out. They think about other people, they think about whether this voicing out does any good or does it even have any impact at all. So most of the time, the ENTJ may be very restrained in voicing their own opinion and their personal values. It is not that the ENTJ doesn't have personal values, it's just that they think that sometimes in order for you to stand up for your community or stand up for your values, you need to do something instead of just like ranting on YouTube or just screaming out loud. On the other hand, because the ISFP has FI as their dominant function and SE as their auxiliary function, not only are they very passionate about their values, they are also very eager to carry their values out or to voice them out because of SE. So this is where they can be very different. In fact, the ISFP can be really stubborn.
To send a clear signal to the world.
So much so that the ISFP is willing to defend their own cause even if it means that they might be put behind bars. So in a protest, the ISFP may be an activist.
Even they try to arrest us, prosecute us.
The ENTJ, on the other hand, has a very low likelihood of participating in protests. I have actually already discussed this in one of our very new episodes. The ENTJ, on the other hand, is very unlikely to participate in protests because they think about the consequences of their actions. My second opinion of ISFPs is that when they are in love, they can really be very in the moment. So an ISFP can suddenly be so committed to you. If they are dating you, they want to be with you, that they can fly halfway around the globe just to be with you.
Never been on a plane before?
Yeah, you know.
So of course, when you are in love, this is a pleasant surprise. But the ENTJ might feel that this thing cannot last long because it's not practical. The ENTJ tends to think about the future, but the ISFP is very in the present. So this might be a source of conflict. Usually there is nothing wrong standing up for your own values. However, if an ENTJ were to pair with an ISFP in a romantic relationship and their values are not aligned, this is where trouble will come. The ISFP will really make the ENTJ feel like a badass. Like, hey, aren't you going to help this child? You are such a bad person. They might think that way, or they might just rant out immediately on the ENTJ that way. Because the ISFP is a judger, they might base their judgment on their own personal feelings and values instead of being objective. So this lack of objectivity can also be a source of problem for the ISFP and the ENTJ when they are in a relationship. Because when the ISFP is overly subjective, they might be influenced by people around them quite easily. This is why sometimes ISFPs can be really unpredictable because they swing from side to side. Also, their self-esteem can also go from high to low because they are basing their judgment on what people say about them. The ENTJs might not take personal feedback very personally, but the ISFP may. And so this is where the ISFP can really be a little bit too unstable emotionally, even to the point of being neurotic. So the ENTJ might find that the ISFP may be slightly emotionally unstable. They might find that the ISFP is neurotic, and from the ENTJ's point of view, this is not very attractive. Because the ENTJ and the ISFP are duality couples, so what it also means is that the ISFP is very much used to using functions that the ENTJ feels uncomfortable, especially when the ENTJ is not developing the third and fourth function yet. Similarly, the ISFP will feel very uncomfortable when the ENTJ is pushing TE and NI to the ISFP. So they are actually both using functions that they are aware of but not good at using. So this is going to be a huge problem if they are not communicating well. Also a huge problem, as I have already discussed, when their values are not aligned. So not only for the ENTJ and the ISFP, any two duality pairs can have this similar problem. This is because each of the individual is good at what the other person is weak at and uncomfortable in using. So definitely the ENTJ will be very uncomfortable that the ISFP wants so much demonstrations of love. So I can imagine when an ISFP just got to be in love with an ENTJ and they are dating and they really like each other, the ISFP may really demand a lot of shows of love and expression to her. This is okay right at the beginning because when you are just in love, both of you can be really intoxicated by love. And you might do some things that are atypical. However, when reality sets in, this can be very draining for the ENTJ. And in the long run, the ISFP is very undernourished and unhappy. Again, as a disclaimer, I am speaking from the point of view of an ENTJ male. I know of other ENTJs that really do like ISFPs. It's not that I do not like ISFPs, I just do not think that a relationship between an ISFP and ENTJ is going to go well unless both of these parties are mature enough and developing each other's function, because they are already getting old. So if you have a really young ENTJ and ISFP pair, or if one of these individuals is less mature than usual, then it is harder for this pairing to work. So personally, as an ENTJ, because I have very high NI, I am very concerned about spirituality. So this is probably going to be a problem with the ISFP pairing. So given that ISFPs are SE auxiliary and NI tertiary, this probably means that the ISFP is very likely to be less spiritual and more physical. They are more ingrained into the world. They may really like to listen to nice words, which the ENTJ doesn't like to say. This is because the ENTJ probably finds this kind of sweet talk very meaningless. Because the ISFP uses SE as their auxiliary function and NI as their tertiary function, they are not likely to be really spiritual. They are more likely to be more physical or even superficial. So they might just want to listen to sweet words. They might just want to receive presents. It's okay for the ENTJ to shower you with love. However, sometimes I think that the ISFP may be too concerned about using this X as shows of love. The ENTJ may prefer other ways of showing you love, such as running errands for you or solving your problems. And when we try to solve your problems, we are thinking from the TE point of view, which conflicts with your FI. So there is a huge problem again. So what's my verdict of this pairing? I think that it is going to be very challenging. However, if both parties are mature, then because they all have the same cognitive stack, just that the cognitive functions are in different order, in fact in reverse order, there might be a chance that it will work, especially when each of these individuals is now trying to develop their third and fourth function, which happens to be each other's dominant and auxiliary functions. Okay, I hope you have learned something in this episode. If you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can bring you more MBTI and psychology. Okay, I am going to sign off now and I'll see you. Okay, I'm going to sign off now and I'll see you in my next episode. Goodbye!